Biden's speech last week in Philadelphia raised eyebrows about its stylistic choices. But what did voters think about the content? We asked them. First, in his Philadelphia speech, Biden said, Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. We asked 1,000 voters if they agreed or disagreed with this statement. 36% strongly agree and 39% strongly disagree. If you include the somewhats, however, more voters, 48%, agree than disagree, 47%, that Donald Trump and MAGA are a threat to the republic. Who agrees most? Here's the list by strongly agree. Democrats, 62%, liberals, 72%, and Biden's strongest supporters, 87%. What about strongly disagreeing? Conservatives, 61%, Republicans, 67%, and those who strongly disapprove of Biden, 84%. By party, 21% of Republicans agree, and that's a pretty solid chunk of his own party to think that Trump's a threat to our republic. 17% of Democrats, however, disagree with Biden's statement. Only 40% of independents agree, and 53% disagree. That 13-point spread is very close to the lead that the Republicans have among independents in our recent generic ballot polling. A lot of effort has been made to paint the MAGA movement and Trump as racist, but black voters, 32%, are actually less likely than white voters, 37%, or Hispanic voters, 35%, to strongly agree that Trump and MAGA are an extremist threat. Black voters are also, however, much less likely to say that they strongly disagree. Voters under 40 are more likely to agree with Biden than not by 11 points, but they are also less likely than older voters to strongly agree, and more older voters disagree with Biden than agree by 5 points. Here's the problem. This is a pretty complicated question. American voters tend to be agreeable and are more likely to agree than disagree with any statement. Also, since the quote includes both Trump and MAGA, it's hard to attribute to whom our respondents were reacting to. Though it is fair to say that political efforts to paint both Trump and MAGA as extremists have been at least somewhat successful. Even though it's essentially a dead split over whether Trump and MAGA are an extremist threat, every time we've run a hypothetical Biden-Trump rematch since 2020, Trump has won by at least 6 and as many as 13 points, and that's using essentially the same party weightings that we used in our final 2020 poll that showed Biden up by 1 point. So regardless of what voters think of Trump or MAGA, regardless of what Biden's approval is, public opinion still implies that there is regret over electing Biden, though less than there was last fall. The second question we asked was whether voters agreed or disagreed with a Congressman Jim Jordan critique, though we did make it anonymous when we asked. Joe Biden should quit blaming MAGA Republicans and get to work on the economy he ruined. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? 58% of voters agree, including 46% who strongly agree, and only 38% of voters disagree, 26% of them strongly. In our experience, Americans like the concept, generally, of politicians getting back to work, though it was also recently reported that Biden has taken more vacation days than any of his 3 recent predecessors, so there is that as a backdrop. Of course, many Republicans agree with this statement, 83%. But 55% of independents also agree, far more than who disagree, 38%. But Democrats stand out to me the most here. 35% of Democrats agree, including 20% who strongly agree. This rhymes with last week, where even 30% of Democrats supported a theoretical Biden impeachment. 89% of those who strongly disapprove of Biden also strongly agree with Jim Jordan's statement, but only 57% of Biden's strongest supporters strongly disagree. For the past few months, we've been asking what issues voters are concerned about most as we approach this November's midterms, and economic issues take up 4 out of the 5 top spots. So it's kind of a no-brainer that there is strong support for any sentiment focused on fixing the economy. If you like our content, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and follow us on Twitter. Thanks.